All right, coming in at number 33 from the U.S. National Team Development Program, it is William Moore, a Canadian who grew up playing in the GTHL, and he made a seamless transition to the USNTDP as a dual citizen.
And Ross even played for the Mississauga Senators. So another player we're covering that played for the Mississauga Senators. But yeah, interesting move for a Mississauga native to be playing at the USNTDP. I kind of had to do a double take being like, what? Since when did they allow Canadians to play there? But he is a dual citizen, so he had that option. Does this mean now? Well, yeah, he played U18, so he is now an American player for the rest of his life.
Yeah, he's an American player the rest of his life. And that Mississauga Senators team probably had the second overall pick in this draft, Michael Misa, and another first-round pick, Malcolm Spence. So pretty decent for one team in the GTHL. And then he went to the Toronto Marlboros, a more prestigious organization in that league, before moving over to the USNTDP. And what he brought with him was his offensive skill set. He's kind of listed as a two-way center, but when he gets the puck in the offensive zone, I mean, the points tell the story here. Like, he's always been a goal scorer. He's always been a guy that can put up massive numbers, and he did that this past year as well. Now, this isn't a banner year for the U.S. team. He did, however, finish second on the team in points behind a player we've already profiled in Cole McKinney. William Moore had 59 points in 64 games this season. Moore is 6'2", 174 pounds, a March birthday, so already turned 18. He's a left shot, and his range is one of the tighter ones that we've seen so far. EP and Scott Wheeler have him at 30th on their rankings. Corey Pronman at 31. Craig Button at 33, Bob McKenzie at 35, and you also have Locked On NHL at 30. So 3 at 30, 1 at 31, got 33, 35, and then McKean's is the lowest on him at 41. I'm going to go out on a limb here, Billsy, and say that he's going to be a late first, early second round pick.
Yeah, either William Moore will be the signal that ends the first round or the signal that starts the second round. I think his range is between 30 and 34 for sure. And there's a reason for that. Obviously, like you mentioned, putting up good points at the USNTDP. He's committed to Boston College. He had 11 points in 7 games at the U18s. And watching his highlights, he's got a good shot. He's good at taking the puck away from teams trying to transition up the ice and intercepting those breakout passes and making them pay for it. Because when he gets on a breakaway, he's got a nice collection of moves, too, that he can pull on the goalie to really make some goalies look foolish. So there are some skills from William Moore that merit the idea that he's either going to be a late first or an early second round pick.
Well, those skills actually had him apply for exceptional status in the Canadian Hockey League. Now, it was not granted to him, so he decided to go to the States. But I wonder, in that parallel universe, what would happen if he was a top pick in the Ontario Hockey League draft and stayed in that type of environment. So I'm so curious to see how his development path goes, because this is a pretty unique one that we don't see barely ever in our 6 years of doing NHL draft coverage. We've never seen a player who made the jump to the USNTDP from the GTHL and being a Canadian kid. So I just see him as a player that teams are going to fall in love with, like the size and the two-way reliability. But as Scott Wheeler noticed, inconsistency has been an issue in the past. Now, I hesitate to say that it still is, because he had at least a point in every single game during the under 18s. He also finished the season with 5 points in 6 games. Like, it felt like everything was starting to come together. So 2 things happen from that. 1, scouts take notice, and when the games get tougher and the competition rises when it comes to an international stage, he elevated his game. And 2, this guy's got to be brimming with confidence right now based on the way he played down the stretch.
Yeah, I think he's one of those prospects, Ross, that teams are going to watch video of him and be like, all right, this is a nice player. And then when they start doing the research on him as a person, I think that's where it's going to really tip them over the edge. Scott Wheeler did a great feature on him. Check it out at The Athletic. But all his coaches compliment how mature and intelligent he is. His one coach was even saying that William Moore was like, hey, you're not doing the same drills that we always do. Like, you kind of messed up how we do this drill. The coach is like, what? And he's like, yeah, we're supposed to do this, not this. And the coach is like, oh, yeah, like, good call. Yeah. Like I mentioned, very good in school. Someone that gets a lot of respect from the entire coaching staff and his teammates. So I think that's really going to help him convince teams like, hey, maybe this isn't the player, that we're going to need in the next 2-3 years, but looking down the line, this is going to be someone that's committed to the game. He's a student of the game, and maybe in his late 20s, he's going to really blossom into the type of player that we can that we can validate using a first round pick or a early second round pick on. So I think teams are going to be happy with William Moore. And as long as you're not looking for him to be the crown jewel of your prospect pipeline, he's going to be a great addition.
I'm going to call my shot, Pilsy. I'm going to call the San Jose Sharks with their late first round pick, if they haven't traded it, because they have so much top end talent in their prospect pool. He could just be the perfect complementary piece, but that does have the upside that if he goes on a tear next year, he could be considered a high end prospect coming out. Like, out of all the players in this range that we've covered, and it makes sense with our average ranking at 32.86, we just did Jacob Wozniak, and there's a big gap. Like, there's a big range, like a tier drop here, where Wozniak was 37.33 and it was 39 after that, 39.8, but now we've jumped almost 5 full numbers on the average to get to here. So I think now the more I talk about it, the more I think he sneaks in to that first round. And with San Jose's prospect pool the way it is, they have the 30th overall pick right now. I feel like that could be the perfect fit.
Yeah, I like that call, Ross. And I think he's the type of guy, Ross, that you want to add to your prospect pool to push everyone else, because I think he's going to have a bit of a chip on his shoulder if he gets drafted by San Jose and he's like, wait a second, I'm the 7th best prospect here. And I think he's going to really raise the compete level, and he's going to be a good addition to the culture that a team is trying to bring. So yeah, I'm with you on that. I see him in the teal colors moving forward.
What about Senators stars for William Moore?
I'm a broken record at this point, Ross, but 3 stars. If he was the guy the Sens took at 21, I would be a little underwhelmed. No offense to William Moore. I feel like I've given him lots of compliments and really kind of highlighted the belief I have in his potential, but just not the guy the Ottawa Senators are looking for, especially a two-way center. Not the right fit, in my opinion.
Yeah, if the Senators somehow ended up with an early second round pick, I'd be thrilled to get William Moore, but definitely not where the Sens are. Does it make sense to get William Moore, who comes in at number 33 on our Locked On Senators NHL draft rankings? They are all individually available for you on YouTube.